Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Lakers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. NBA trade idea sends $186 million star to Lakers for Austin Reeves. Despite making a move for young superstar Luka Doncic at the trade deadline, the Los Angeles Lakers fell far short of expectations in this year's playoffs. Led by Doncic and LeBron James, the Lakers still lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round. After trading away Anthony Davis to acquire Doncic, the Lakers had a gaping hole in their front court that ultimately cost them their season, and now their off-season priority is obvious. The Lakers desperately need a new center, and they are reportedly willing to part ways with rising star guard Austin Reeves to get there. The Lakers will reportedly only trade away Austin Reeves if it is for a star big man, per Los Angeles Times' Dan Woik. Austin Reeves is not viewed as untradeable because almost no one in the NBA is untradeable. But if the Lakers are going to trade him for a center, they're going to want one that is foundationally important, a build-around type, and not a fill-in toward the obvious need they have at center and will need to address in other ways, Woike wrote. There are not many elite big men on the market, but if they are looking for a star to put alongside Doncic and James, they could look within the division. Sacramento Kings star Domantas Sabonis could be on the market this offseason with new general manager Scott Perry leading the franchise, and the Lakers could be a potential buyer for the three-time All-Star. In this blockbuster trade idea, the Kings sent Sabonis to the Lakers for Reeves and a handful of valuable assets. Los Angeles Lakers receive Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter. Sacramento Kings receive Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, 2031 unprotected first-round pick. In this deal, the Kings walk away with the 26-year-old Lakers guard who took his game to the next level this season. In his fourth year, Reeves averaged 20.2 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and 1.1 steals per game with 46.0, 37.7, 87.7 shooting splits. Along with Reeves, the Kings would receive two valuable wing defenders in Rui Hachimura and Dorian Finney-Smith. New GM Scott Perry has made it a priority to add length and athleticism on the perimeter this offseason, and this trade would give him that, along with a valuable playmaker in Reeves. Sabonis may not be the exact center the Lakers are looking for, but the two-time All-NBA big man is a proven star in this league and could be a great piece alongside Doncic and James. This season, Sabonis averaged 19.1 points, 13.9 rebounds, and 6.0 assists per game, with 59.0, 41.7 to 75.4 shooting splits. James is entering his 23rd year in the NBA, and Doncic cannot do everything on offense, so having a big man who can be a playmaker and an interior presence could be ideal. Of course, a trade like this would likely be much more complicated with some rotating pieces, but a deal centered around a Sabonis for Reeves swap could benefit both sides enough to warrant an in-division trade. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
That happening. Jalen Duren, Alex Sarr, and I can't believe I'm saying this name, but two conference finals in a row. I think it might take a lot for the Wolves to trade Rudy Gobert at this point. It's kind of crazy to say after all the bleep they took on the heels of that trade.
No, you're right.
Into the conference finals 2 years in a row.
They got something working there. Plus, and they're, even if also too, like, even if you want to start getting into, well, maybe for the right deal because Gobert makes so much money, or the Lakers couldn't assemble the amount of stuff. They're certainly not going to do it for Austin Reeves.
Right. So do you agree with my categorizations for all those guys in group one?
Yeah, I don't think, the Pistons love
Jalen Duren.
Yeah. And, obviously Wemby, Jokic, Sarr, was the second pick in the draft last year, I believe, and had some good moments. Like, he was there. They consider him a foundational piece. He's not moving. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list.
Okay. Now, here are some of the best names that I think could at least theoretically be on the move for a variety of reasons, which could include team needing to go in a different direction, owner's contract, yada, yada. Jaren Jackson Jr. Would you put Austin in a deal for Jaren Jackson Jr. without getting into the weeds, but just as a theoretical? Because my answer is yes.
I would certainly consider it, yes.
Bam Adebayo.
Less
I would seriously consider it.
I would consider it. It's not even the giving up Austin part. I'm a little worried about Bam based on how he played this year, but I think next to Luka, a lot of things could change.
I would at least
It's
consider
awfully good. I would get deep into my Bam Adebayo file and start making some calls. There's no question.
Ivica Zubats.
Yes.
Done.
Yeah,
Done.
Absolutely.
Done.
Yeah. 100%.
He's become very, very good. And you also have to remember, for these guys that I'm saying done, it is harder to find Ivica Zubats than it is to find Austin Reeves, even though Austin Reeves is very good.
Yeah.
It is harder to find someone at Ivica Zubats' size.
It's not like Ivica, and Zoo is not like 38 either.
No, he might be younger than Austin.
He's younger than Austin, but I am looking up his age right now.
Jared Allen.
Yeah, I would do that.
I would consider it.
That's what I'm saying.
Consider it. Walker Kessler.
Yeah, I would certainly. I would consider that very heavily.
I would certainly consider it,
especially given Kessler's age. Zoo, by the way, is turned 28 in March, so he's 2 years older than Austin.
Austin's about to turn 27, so
right.
1 year,
year and a half. Okay,
and then finally Joel Embiid.
Hell absolutely no.
So it's clear.
No,
Embiid is obviously the more talented player when right.
No,
but he's never ever right.
Not touching.
I am not.
Like I am concerned about Jaren Jackson Jr.'s health. That would be one of the big things. I realize Laker fans was like, "Oh, he's overrated as a DPOY guy, and he's not good enough at this, and he's not. He's really good, and he's an all-star level, all-star caliber type player. He's banged up a lot."
Okay, so from this list that I've given you, because we're coming up against a break soon, so we'll get into the guys that I considered the others. But from that list, we've got Jaren Jackson Jr., Bam Adebayo, Walker Kessler, Jared Allen, and Ivica Zubats as all somewhere between would at least consider it to done deal, get the paperwork in before the other team changes their mind.
And this is independent of whether or not we think those players would actually be available. It's just because this is the threshold that I established.
I can picture a world in which they are available. I'm not saying a likely world.
No, but
I'm not even saying it's a world that the Lakers could conquer with what they can offer. I'm just like the Clippers, for example, with Zubats. I don't think they're in any hurry to get rid of Zoo at all. They might just realize we have come as far as we can get with this grouping. Some changes may need to be made, and we need to rebuild some draft capital. We need to rebuild a bunch of stuff.
Kawhi and Norman Powell and James Harden all healthy-ish in the first round, as healthy as you get at this point in the year, and we didn't make it out of the first round.
Right. So that's where I'm including someone like Zubats. Do I think the Clippers are looking to move him? No.
Okay, let me tell you where I think your list kind of nails it next. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Monarch Money. We all do it. You check your bank account. You're wondering, like, where did my money go? How am I spending it? And maybe you're dining out. You're shopping online. You're too much entertainment. You're paying for podcasts behind a paywall. Whatever it might be, it is very easy to lose track of where your money is going. And this is where Monarch Money is so useful. You cannot fix economic problems, spending problems, personal finance problems that you cannot see. And Monarch Money allows you full visibility into your financial life, whether that's your checking account, your investments, savings accounts, different things that you have that make up the totality of your personal finances. You need to be able to see all of it in one place. That's what Monarch Money is. It's like having a personal CFO in the form of a really easy to navigate dashboard. So once you see what's going on, that's when you can make some meaningful changes to what you're doing, get a really good feel for your spending habits, your saving habits, all that stuff. You stop managing your money and you start building wealth. So if you want to take control of your finances, get that visibility, you can go to Monarch Money, use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. So again, I agree with you. Like, I don't think the Cavs are going to trade Jared Allen this offseason. I think they look at what happened to them against Indiana in the playoffs and said, you know what, we ran into injuries at the wrong time. Maybe the gap between us and Indiana maybe wasn't as big as we would have liked, but what you think based on the regular season. We had a lot of guys banged up at the wrong time. I don't think you make foundational changes for that. But that said, I could see it. I don't think those guys. It's not like the idea that the Spurs might trade Wemby. Like that is not going to happen. The question of whether or not Austin Reeves could get those guys is separate from the question I was asking last week was, if you're going to trade Reeves, it needs to be for a guy on the level of Reeves. And I think all the people that you named are ballpark on the level. They've either been
or better
all-stars, or maybe they're better. Yeah, they've been all-stars. They're sort of all-star adjacent. Or rapidly improving, like a guy like Zubats, criminally underrated in some ways. All of those players, I think you could look at and say, are on the level of an Austin Reeves. And then you start getting into fit, all that of those other things. But yeah, I think the list you're putting out there is pretty good.
Okay, so here are all the guys that I categorized as the rest. So then it really just starts turning into a question of, would you trade Austin for this player or not? Draymond Green.
No,
me neither. I've
too old.
Seen too much of what Draymond looks without Steph, and it's not nearly as good as with Steph.
No,
I'm not saying he's Steph's backpack. I'm just saying I'm not going to be the first team.
That's not why I don't want to be doing that many emergency podcasts.
There's that as well.
Multiple jobs. No,
there's
we're not
that as well. Nikola Vucevic.
No,
me neither.
I would think about it with Vooch just because he is good at certain things. But I think ultimately what you really need, first and foremost, is at least some aspect of defense. Like people get, like Jaren Jackson, people, he's not a good enough rim protector. He has good defensive qualities when you but Vooch doesn't, and they don't need the offense. And he's not exactly a high flying vertical threat.
No, I would not do it for Vucevic either. Kristaps Porzingis
gets hurt too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Jonas Valanciunas.
No,
me neither. Nick Claxton.
Does Jonas Valanciunas seem to you to be a great pairing for Luka Doncic? He does not.
No, and even look, even
he does set a really mean screen. I will say that. But
even before we were in the Luka era, when there was the whole report of LeBron being willing to take a serious haircut in order to get Jonas Valanciunas, I was like, I don't think this makes sense for the Lakers.
Keep your hair, man.
Right. I mean, LeBron cannot afford to be willy-nilly with those type of hair propositions. He's got to treat this with the seriousness it deserves. Nick Claxton. I wouldn't. I think you should be able to get Nick Claxton.
I think you should be able to get it. But I will say, I saw a Nick Claxton sizzle reel that somebody put
I've told you that he's better than you think he is.
And it was all the good plays. They didn't put
right, but
it was like an 8.5 minute reel of like Nick Claxton being awesome defensively.
Listen,
and I was
here's
like,
the
okay,
thing.
I'm intrigued now.
We're going to do deeper dives into Claxton because God knows he's going to be connected to the Lakers.
Oh yeah,
for at least the next couple months or so until he ends up on the Lakers or somewhere else. I'm not saying that Nick Claxton is an elite center, but what I do think people need to remember is you need to really be judging him from when last he was on a good team.
Yeah.
And when he was on a good team, like the KD, Harden, Kyrie Nets before everything fell apart, Claxton was a good player.
He was
not a world beater.
And he fits the profile. Like he's not going to be a guy you can rely on to do everything, but if he was, he wouldn't be available potentially without even giving up Austin Reeves. He's a good above the rim guy, shot blocker, things like that.
They should be able to get Claxton without giving up Reeves.
I agree with you.
These two guys kind of split time for their team, so I'm presenting them together. Wendell Carter Jr. or Goga Bitadze from the Magic.
I don't think you put Austin Reeves into. I'm
interested in both.
I'm interested in both. I'm Goga curious.
I'm very Goga curious.
Goga Bitadze is a much better.
So it just depends on what do the Boston Celtics value more this upcoming offseason? Kind of the ability to reset and, be able to retool in a year or so? Or are they looking to hey, let's just continue to stack assets, just get as many pieces and stuff, and then kind of just, whatever happens this year. And then when Tatum gets back, then we'll figure it out, right? Because depending on how that goes, depends on if the Lakers can get involved in a potential Celtics trade, right? But as far as who I would love to see the Celtics target, I want to talk about the one that I want the Lakers personally to stay away from. I've already seen kind of murmurs and reports about. I've already had, comments and stuff from people, and that's Kristaps Porzingis. I've seen a lot of people oh, go get Porzingis. Porzingis would be great. I do not want Porzingis at all. One, obviously, what is his and Luka's relationship, right? Supposedly there was no bad blood or anything like that, but there were kind of questions about them fitting and working. It didn't really quite work out the way you wanted it to. But besides that, even if Luka's yeah, I'd love to have Kristaps back, he's unreliable. Guy can't stay healthy in the regular season, and he can't stay healthy in the playoffs, right? You see some guys that regular season, they're giving you 40, 50 games, but they're almost guaranteed to be healthy come playoff time. It's you just kind of manage them during the regular season, and then you can expect them to be there in the playoffs. No, it's not Kristaps Porzingis at all, right? He's a guy that you can sit all year, and he still might get hurt in the playoffs. And he's dealing with I don't know what it is, but some type of respiratory issue or something, right? I mean, they were talking about he can't breathe, he's, feeling lethargic, right? I just think that the Lakers should personally stay away from him. Obviously, I'd love to have Kristaps Porzingis, a real two-way guy, could spread the floor, knock down the three ball. Right? The idea and concept of Kristaps Porzingis, I get, makes sense. He's on the right side of 30 still, right? So it's kind of okay, he's a piece that could come in, be a contributor for the next few years. But I just look at him, next year he's going to be making $30.7 million. You could argue, okay, well, he'd be an expiring contract. So if it works, great. Then, you're probably a really good basketball team with Porzingis, LeBron James and Luka Doncic. But if it doesn't work, yes, you could just let him walk. But I feel like the $30 million in salary that you'd have to send out, unless you're getting him for free, right? If it's something where it's hey, you're getting him for pennies on the dollar or something like that, or just essentially a swap, which I don't know why they would do that, because he'd be an expiring contract next year, right? I think that the Lakers should stay away from Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, again, he's a guy that just cannot stay healthy. When he's healthy, he's great. There's no doubt about it. When he's healthy, the guy go get you 20 points, shoot the lights out the basketball, right? Block shots, protect the rim, defend. Everything that the Lakers could want and need. But again, you look at it, he played 42 games, 57 games, 65 games. If he could play 65 games like he did with the Wizards, okay, fine. But again, it's really the postseason. It's really the playoffs that he's not reliable in. And the Lakers, they're a team that wants to win an NBA championship. So you can't get to the playoffs and then your third, fourth best player or whatever is now unavailable all season, right? And you saw that. Boston was good enough to win last year, right, without Porzingis for a good majority, right? But the Lakers, I just don't think are going to be that good to where it's oh yeah, we can just not have Kristaps Porzingis for, half the playoffs, right? I just don't think the Lakers are in that position. So, who should the Lakers target? First off, Jrue Holiday, who I think would be easier to get, right? Derek White, we'll touch on him in a moment, right? Because he's the guy I really like. But Jrue Holiday would be exactly what the Lakers need, slotted alongside Luka Doncic. And I know some people are going to look at it and go, yeah, but he's 34 years old, right? He'll be 35 in June. Lakers are trying to win now, right? If you were trying to, again, obviously it depends on what the cost is. If it's something where you have to trade, they want Austin Reeves in a first, it's crazy, good luck to you type thing. But again, it's all about what it would be the cost, right? You could look at it and your argument would be he's making $32.4 million next year, then $34.8 million the year after that. And then he has a player option of $37 million. He'll be 37 years old that season. He's not going to opt out of that. Right? He's going to take that. So we're helping you get off of that salary, get off of that long-term salary, $32 million, right? But Jrue Holiday still is one of the best guard defenders in the league, one of the best point of attack guys in the league, and is exactly what you need, slotted alongside Luka and LeBron. He's a guy that, again, he's a veteran. He's been there. He's done that. He can have big games. He can have big nights. He's a guy that you can easily just slot in alongside Luka. You could go something like, Luka, Drew Holiday, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and then go get that center. Whether maybe it's like a Clint Capella that you're signing, or maybe you could still go pull off a trade and go land, a Daniel Gafford or something like that. Now, all of a sudden, you got this like versatile defensive team that can switch and do multiple things slotted alongside Luka, right? Drew Holiday is a guy that can knock down the three ball with consistency. I don't want to play like Boston does, but, Drew Holiday he's the prototype of that point of attack 3-and-D style guard. Even at his veteran age, right? He's still good enough. His talent and skill isn't like solely relying on athleticism, right? He's a guy that I think could be a real contributor, buy in, understands his role, knows his role, plays the role well. Again, it just boils down to me of what is the cost, right? But again, this is a guy that is a career 37% three-point shooter on 4 attempts per game. You look at last year, 5 attempts per game. His three-point shooting was down 35%. But you look at the previous year when Boston won the championship. He had 4.7 attempts, shot 42.9%. So basically 43%. You look at the last 4 years previous to this year, it's all 39 to 40% in three-point shooting. He's going to be slotted alongside Luka and LeBron, right? The looks that he would get, the quality of shots that he would get, I fully expect him to get back to being that guy. He's a guy that can go get you, a steal and a block a game. He's a guy that be that point of attack, be that kind of anchor to the defense, a veteran guy that you can trust and rely on. You're not going to have to worry about him, playing out of his realm or anything like that, right? If the Lakers want to win right now, within the next year or two, right, while you have LeBron, then I do think getting a guy like Drew Holiday, obviously I would love some young guys. I'd love to go get a Dyson Daniels or a Jalen Suggs or something like that, but I just think that it's going to be a lot harder, right? I think it's something that, yes, I'd love to have more for the long-term element and aspects and still provides that, but I think a guy, Drew Holiday, given his age, a Lakers that are a veteran team that are trying to win sooner rather than later, and then when LeBron leaves, kind of retool, right? Like Drew Holiday kind of lines up with that, where, you're trying to kind of push chips in right now, win a championship, and then when LeBron leaves, Drew Holiday's money falling off, or he's a big expiring contract that you can now use to go and leverage to go get somebody else, right? Maybe you get that other star to pair alongside a Luka Doncic, right? I just think that is something that is at least worth looking into, at least worth looking at. But obviously, Derek White would be my favorite acquisition. I think that'd be most people's favorite acquisition if you could from the Boston Celtics. Derek White's 30. He'll be 31 in July, so he's still young enough to where you could have him for the next handful of years. Now, he's not as good at the point of attack as Drew Holiday is. Derek White is excellent and one of the best as far as like help defense and kind of being that blind side, weak side help. Like it's how he gets most of his block shots. Right? He's one of the best shot blocking guards in all of basketball. He is a very good defender. I don't want to undersell Derek White and his defensive impact. The guy is one of the best guard defenders in the league, but as far as like the point of attack being your main defensive, anchor on the perimeter, he's not really as good as Drew Holiday is. Drew Holiday's just better at that, at just sticking with guys and defending in space and, applying that pressure. But Derek White, again, 3-point shooting, right? The defense overall, just kind of playing in a team defensive scheme. Same thing that I was talking about. Can you go get a Daniel Gafford and then go with the Dorian Finney-Smith if you have to? And now you just got this defensive anchorage. And you look at next year is when his contract kicks in. He'll be making $28.1 million next season. Then it goes to $30 million, then it goes to $32.5 million, and then he has a player option of $34.8 million, which is still cheaper than Drew Holiday's, and he'd still be younger. He'd be 3 years younger than Drew Holiday at that time that he would more likely not opt into his player option. So I just think he's a guy that makes as much sense as possible, but I think that they would get a better return than the Lakers would be willing to pony up for a Derek White, right? I don't think the Lakers, like Boston, something like that, they're probably going to want a, Austin Reeves, stuff like that. And you can make an argument they'd probably be right to do that. Again, he's one of the best two-way guards in all of basketball, can shoot the lights out of the basketball. guy that can just defend multiple positions and do it at such a high level, right? Be the help side. He's healthy, played 82 games, 73 games, and 76 games the 3 years that he's been with Boston. And then when he went from San Antonio to Boston, he played 75 games. So literally the last 5 years, the guy's given you 70 to 75 games a season. You look at his 3-point shooting. He's a career, again, 37% three-point shooter, but you look at the last, 3-4 years, he's been shooting around 38 to 30 to 40% from three-point range. So again, and he's doing it on good volume, right? Last year, he shot 38.4% on 9.1 attempts, right? And then, 2-point range, 59.3%. He's a guy that gets you 4.5 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block, and then 16.4 points. So he's a guy that could easily come in, slot in, and kind of be that two-way guy. Another guy that would just be beautifully slot in alongside Luka Doncic and LeBron James. I'd love to get those guys. For being honest, I don't think the Lakers are probably going to be able to pull any of those guys off. Maybe a Kristaps Porzingis, because I just don't know what his market's going to be. Drew Holiday, potentially. Derek White, I don't think, but you never know. Right? Again, at the end of the day, what is Boston valuing? Right? Do they want to just have a bunch of expiring contracts and they're like, hey, if we can just get off of Derek White, get off of Drew Holiday's contract, right? We can bring in these guys from the Lakers, right? They're expiring contracts, and then we can kind of, reset the deck once Jason Tatum gets back. Then fine, right? Maybe the Lakers do have a leg up in that regard. We'll see. Time will tell. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of going after some guys from Boston? Do you think stay away from those guys? However you feel either way, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it.
Lakers trade pitch moves Austin Reeves, lands Heat star, Warriors champion. The Los Angeles Lakers will have some difficult decisions to make during the offseason, mainly with Austin Reeves. Rumors suggest the Lakers might trade Reeves for a big player, but insiders say they won't move on from him unless they get an offer they can't refuse. According to a report from Dan Woike of the Los Angeles Times, the Lakers are only open to a trade possibility involving Reeves if they get back a starting caliber center. The team has shown no interest in using Reeves in a trade that nets them anything less than a top-tier big, and there aren't any of those available, with the two most common names linked to them in the earliest stages of the offseason, Brooklyn's Nick Claxton and Dallas's Daniel Gafford, White reported. What could Lakers receive for Austin Reeves? The Los Angeles Lakers could get creative in trading Reeves by adding other assets to the deal. In a proposed trade idea from Fadeaway World, the Lakers would add 2 key players. The proposal would add Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Ware, and move Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, and picks. By parting with Austin Reeves and Dorian Finney-Smith in a sign and trade, 2 players who we predicted could leave the team this summer, the Lakers can make a strategic move to enhance their championship aspirations. Reeves was the 3rd option this season, but if the player rejects the expected offer from the Lakers to seek at least $200 million, he could be traded this summer. Following a disappointing first-round playoff exit despite a 50-32 regular season record, the Lakers are poised to retool their roster around stars Luka Doncic and LeBron James. Acquiring Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Ware addresses critical needs, they wrote. Would Andrew Wiggins fit into Lakers squad? This would be the type of deal that makes perfect sense for the Los Angeles Lakers. Not only would they get back a young center in Ware, but Wiggins has proven to be an excellent player on a contending team. He struggled with the Miami Heat during the 2025 campaign after being traded in the Jimmy Butler deal, but he usually plays much better than he showed in a Heat jersey. Even then, while he wasn't excellent at times, Wiggins still averaged 19 points and shot 45.8% from the field and 36% from three-point range. The issue in this deal isn't giving up Reeves, but the Heat giving up Ware. Ware, who had an excellent rookie season, looks to be somebody Miami can lean on in the near future. The Lakers would love to add a young center with his upside, but it remains uncertain if the Heat would even trade him for Reeves. Only 21 years old, the North Little Rock, Arkansas 7-footer averaged 9.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, and showed that he has the ability to shoot from three-point range, attempting nearly 2 per game and hitting at an above 30% clip. For a rookie center, that isn't too bad. Factor that in with his ability to finish at the rim, and the Lakers would love to add them. And you, fan, what do you think about Andrew Wiggins' situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.